This is Critical Nonsense, our high lowbrow show about culture, science, and tech. This week, Aaron asks us about digital poltergeists.
Woo!
Dinosaurs eating people. Dinosaurs in love. Dinosaurs having a party and they eat fruit and cucumbers. This is what a Joey sounds like.
Toe beans, toe beans, toe beans, toe beans. Please, kitty, come and scratch my head. This is what an Aaron sounds like.
Toe beans?
They got the little toe beans in the paws. They got cute little toe beans. I want the cat to come over and just.
And this is what an executive producer and podiatry legume Jess Vander sounds like.
Hi, this is Jess.
Podiatry legume. Oh, I love that. That is something that should be found on Wheel of Fortune. Thank you, Pat Sajak, for all the work. We look forward to Ryan Seacrest's join. Seacrest DSV. Sorry, I'm having a rough one today, guys. Woo!
I feel confident that there are some superlatives that have come to you multiple times. I am very confident.
Yes.
That the Goom podiatrist has never crossed your lips before.
Yes. It's fresh. That one is fresh and unique. And thank you on behalf of all of us.
Fresh off the presses.
Yes.
What I'm here for really is just the random combination of strange words. That is, I'm a random word generator. And I'm happy to play my part.
Amen. Before we clean the house, I just want to say in middle school, I used to do this thing with our class presentations. We'd have, random whole assemblies. That's what they're called. We'd do assemblies and they were called arts forums. So you had music, play the piano, people would come up and bands would come and play and stuff. Mine was Aaron's deep thoughts. And I would just say random things that came to mind in a very voice. Oh, the sky is butter-filled, but your feet dance upon the lake. I did that 3 times, and then I would walk off stage, and it was a hoot. It was a holler. That's why we're friends.
Deep thoughts with Jack Handy in the middle school art school version.
Yeah, a shitty ripoff of an SNL thing that didn't have any of the depth or nuance of the humor that was in the SNL one. That was basically it. That was it. Yeah. Anyway. I think house is clean. Sorry, just figured I'd tell a story at an awkward part of our normal top of the show stuff. Yeah, cool.
As you do.
As I do.
Aaron, do you have a deep thought with Aaron Powers for us?
Okay, so it is kind of funny because that, topics for this show come up in day-to-day life 100 different ways. We talk about them all the time. And last night I was in bed and I was setting the alarm for the house and I was just all right, let me turn off the Hue light bulbs, all from my phone. And I typed in HU for Hue. And on Google Android phones, when you search for an app, it brings up all the content in your phone. So apps, contacts, everything else. And it starts with contacts. So the HU brought up a bunch of HU people who I haven't thought of in a very long time, even though I search for this app literally every night as I'm going to bed. And I kind of had this little pang in my heart where I was oh, I haven't thought about you in years. I wonder what you're up to. Oh, we had fun times together. Those were fun nights out. Woohoo, hippy dippy. And it because that's how I talk to myself. And it led me down this kind of falling asleep rabbit hole about all the times that I search for random things and random people that will come up instead of the thing I'm looking for. And it just made me realize that I handle them very differently depending on the person. So the thing that I bring to you is, how do y'all deal with your digital poltergeists?
Well, I kind of like my digital poltergeists.
Ooh,
like
do you?
Yeah, I think the like random memory generator aspect of it, of like, here's a spark, you haven't thought of this in a long time, is fun. And like sometimes it is just like a momentary, like I mentioned this happens a lot with my contact. Like you start to type the first letter of like you're going to text someone, and like every T person, first or last name, shows up, and you're like, where is said random person? But like sometimes I will actually then just be like, I haven't talked to you in a long time. Like just send a text, just be like, hey, thought of you, hope you're good. Like that's it. Just sort of like notes in a bottle in like the digital sea. And I feel like it is just sort of like a nice little thing that happens in my life when you do that.
That's so interesting because I admit I feel like I have a very broad ranging set of these, some of which are not so nice. Like, honestly, I hadn't really thought of it till now, but like there are some that are really not so great. Like, uh for a moment of like true vulnerability, sometimes I'm scrolling like the conference room login at work and I see Ellen's name pop up, and it's like I'm like, whoa, yep, true. Hadn't thought of it, but now I'm thinking about it. And now I'm going to type in my password and jump onto this conference call. Or like scrolling through you're like searching something on Instagram to find some account, and you're like, whoa, man, that is a blast from the past. Like they have an account? Interesting. We are mortal enemies, but also I'm fascinated. Do I want to know what they've been doing last weekend? Like there's just like a very interesting realm of emotions that can be callously surfaced by this by the search function, you know.
That's what throws me the most, I'm realizing. You're right. Like they're not all delightful at all. And like I'm not ready to be just like randomly transported to a
Right.
different place out of nowhere. And like sometimes it's like, oh, that guy I had a crush on in high school or whatever randomly comes up because he shares the same few letters of this person. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that I remember telling you. Oh, I don't. That wasn't fun. That wasn't fun at all. Like, but then I guess the other thing too is that like I get thrown because I'm in the middle of a task. I'm not searching for something. I rarely am just like searching for something because I'm like, ooh, let me just like see the knowledge of humanity. I'm like completing a task. I need to text someone something, or I need to like look up this app to turn off the lights or whatever it is. And it'll throw me, and I've got the memory of a goldfish most moments. So then I'm like, great, I got pulled down this quick little rabbit hole. I've got to pull myself out of it. What the hell was I doing? What was I looking for? Oh, the lights are still on. Oh, damn it. I would have done this if it weren't for you meddling kids. Like, that's basically it.
There's a dynamic here of like filtering. Like, I don't know if I have anyone from high school still in my contacts as like an example, like because of phone switching and whatever. But we've talked about like the filtering aspect in like some algorithms before. Like I think people are smarter about today certainly than a few years ago about filtering their like who you follow on social media and like what account you are. But like in other places, I don't know that there's like a large enough conversation of anyone to be like, oh right, like maybe I should filter my like contacts in my phone as opposed to just being like a repository of everything.
It's true, right? Like the lack of digital cleanup cycle means, like, I remember I saw this article from the Times like a month ago that was like, after a breakup, does an ex get to stay on your grid? Like, do you just like do a cleaning of house of the digital artifact of that relationship? And then you like if you're going back to look at your previously posted photos, then you don't have to see them yourself. And it it was interesting, like, I don't remember that they explicitly had mentioned this in the article, but it was interesting to think to mentally shift the idea of like, if you think about your Instagram grid like uh framed photos in your house, like it maybe would be really weird to to like keep those up. But that is like one perspective of it versus right, the endless repository of stuff, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh yeah. Huh. I kept I still have this? Do I want this?"
To that point, I'm sitting here and I don't know when the last time is that I've just scrolled through my contacts and just looked at them, and I'm doing it right now. And first of all, I am not creative, or I wasn't creative when I was 20 and I was adding Dan Barr or
Yeah.
yeah, Derek Barr. There's a lot of bars. I went out a lot. What can I say? I was younger. But like, oh, and I also love when I get to the D's because there's a lot of doctors. There are so many doctors that I do not work with anymore that are in here. But this, like, first of all, because I haven't had to think about it since probably 2007, something like that. Like, that's when contacts start. You didn't have to move SIM cards. That's when you didn't have to move SIM cards from phone to hold on to your contacts, kids. I haven't done that. And like, obviously I'm just like searching for names when I'm searching for someone to call or text, if I'm calling or texting them. But like, I don't do any digital cleanup. I don't like, this is why my photos are the way they are. And like, if I go on my Google Photos, it's like, I just scroll to random dates and I'm like, oh, great, 7 pictures of my foot. I clearly didn't realize that I was just hitting the button over and over again. And I love that they're helping me, that Google's helping me like trim that out and whatnot. But my point is, I agree with you, Jess, that I don't have any sort of behavior that's around the digital cleanup. I've actually absolutely been wed to throw it into this, create my own database that's searchable,
Yep.
but don't think about the fact that like, there's a little bit of collateral damage to that. Be it collateral distraction. Maybe collateral distraction, not always collateral damage.
I've always tried to, like, not necessarily that I go back and clean, but I have a higher threshold to enter. So like, I was always this way with my music library. I would have separate things, but if I put it into like iTunes, that meant that it was like a thing I wanted to keep. And in the same way with like my phone contacts, even if I've like called or texted with someone, for them to like actually have their name entered in and the contact created, like they have to like reach a threshold where like, oh, this is a person I would want to contact again. And so that acted as a filter, I think, more than any sort of like ongoing like annual like clean up your digital detritus,
So what you're saying is you don't bust your digital ghosts. You just stop them from haunting you in the first place.
Yes, I wear a pendant, a digital pendant.
I see. Yes, just got thoughts.
Well, I'm trying to think now, like, does this also like it really is making me feel like there's like a whole range of ghosts, like some of whom are friendly and some of whom are not. Like, I'm like, oh no, is this my email ghost who has come to haunt me with my how many are we at now? My 29,000 unread emails in my inbox.
29,000 unread?
Because I have a very hard time. I can't keep up with my inbox. And I know that for many, like the solution is to be so aggressive that anytime you get something that you don't, like a newsletter you don't read or whatever, but it's just I can't I give up. Like my email ghost wins. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know, you're just gonna be there and I cannot possibly can't win this fight.
I'm at 29 and 58, like work and personal.
Wow.
Oh, I'm at 1,800 work and 13 personal, but I've mentioned this on the pod before. I can do this in my personal. Highly recommend it to everybody. I make a filter that's just oh God, that's Jess is flashing her phone, and it's genuinely it is genuinely 29,000, and I don't know what to do with that. But I understand. The only reason that my 1,800 is only 1,800 is because I selected everything that was unread and just deleted it one day. Because I was like, I know I'm not going to read it, and it's all like I already did the filtering of this isn't important, and it's a lot of like meeting, like this person has accepted your meeting invite. Like I don't need that, so like delete it, and it was fine, and it went to 0 for about 5 minutes. But the trick is to create a filter for unsubscribe, any email that says unsubscribe in it, and I send it to my trash can, and that cuts out a lot of like newsletters that I signed up for that I don't care about or that I'm not really gonna read. It declutters things.
Wow.
So that's my gift to you. But I was actually curious if this happens as well in like, well, all right, 2 thoughts. Whew, guys, this is you got me stirred up on this one. First thing is emails, because I've been haunted by some digital email ghosts that I really, really forgot about. It's like in my personal email, I'll be searching for someone, I put in someone's email address, and then like that email from like way back in the day where we were like talking something out or setting up the conversation to talk something out pops up, and it's just like, oh, I remember that conflict. I remember how that felt and went, and seeing the words is really uncomfortable because I'm as wrong now as I was then. Let's just be clear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't need those.
I feel like it's good for you though. Like
Yeah.
the weird
Yeah.
hot take is like I don't need the digital version of it. I will revisit things and be like, hey, remember when you did that thing and it was like real cringy and it was like 2010?
Oh,
yeah, don't forget that because it was real bad. Like, but the flip side of this is like when it's good, right? Like you brought up algorithms, Jess, and like content or like search engines or like all of these things are like the auto populate, and it's basing it on your digital trail for a long time. And so certainly I'm not suggesting like every version of this is good. I like the idea of like the evil ghost and then like Casper like floating in and just being like, you should talk to Margaret.
Right. Right. It's like,
whatever.
Hey, oh my gosh, you really haven't spoken with them in a while. Totally random, but it's almost like running into somebody digitally. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
And then it gives you the thing to text of like, I just like this happened to me just the other day where I was planning my birthday, and out of the blue I was reminded of a presentation that an old colleague of ours had made for a birthday that he had planned, and it was this super elaborate like visual mood board, like it was this whole thing, and I out of the blue just sent a text being like, hey, I just was inspired by you again. That's all. That's all I have to say.
It's so nice.
And it's a lovely thing.
Well, it's also like weird because, you know, many of these ghosts are ones that we can then talk to, which is really nice. Like, and everyone loves being seen and remembered. And like, so
100%.
When you get that, when you receive that note, that's like, ooh, I was a friendly ghost to somebody. That's so nice. Like, and that's rare. That I think that most people don't take the time to send that text or to Joey do what you do, which is like oh, you came up, hey, and then you can keep on like going with whatever you were doing. It's like, I don't know, maybe this is just the spiraler in me, but I find myself then like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go inward with this and I'm going to try to put it in a box, even if it's positive. Oh, that's a nice box for me. Put it on the higher shelf. It's dumb. I wish that I were. You're inspiring me both. You're both inspiring me in a great way.
One, just to say, like, it is a built behavior because I liked when other people did it. And I think particularly over the past like 7 months, I've like really tried to solidify it just because it feels like, you know, putting good energy out into the world. But the flip side is like too of like how you think, right? Like our brains are like trying to do so many things across all of these platforms, and just like being sparked, especially like you said, Aaron, you're like, I think of a thing and then I go do it. Like I'm kind of similar. And so it's just like, hey, did you think about this? I was like, I didn't, but I guess I'll go do it.
This something about how you frame that, Joey, like sparked a light bulb, because I think there's like, at first blush, you might think like this conversation, like, why didn't we just use the word digital footprint? But the truth is, like, what we're not just talking about like the inert artifacts of your history immortalized digitally. We're talking about like a spectrum of things ranging from inert to like actual people and like things that are evolving, and like it's much less uh an archaeological dig so much as it is that plus like a census. I don't know what this is, mixing metaphor.
Hey, welcome to the blender. Party of at least 3. I think that the way you put it, of like running into somebody and then having the perfect thing to be able to say to them if you want to, I find that struck me, because like sometimes you run into somebody or you see someone that you haven't seen in a while and you run across the mall and hide in Pacific Sunwear, now called Pac Sun, now probably closed, because you're trying to avoid having to interact with them.
Right.
I don't know who would do that.
No one would ever do that.
No one would ever do that. It was Macy's. It wasn't PacSun. But anyway, and it was in the store. I was hiding behind the fragrance counter. Go figure. But then but when you're like in these, when you run into the digital artifacts, the digital like memories, it's kind of like we had a conversation a while ago about those unintended consequences of using VR technology and the new stuff in Apple's headsets to be able to like relive videos in an immersive way. It's like, yes, I have the ability to now do this time traveling, but like, I don't always want to travel back to these moments. I can time travel, but I can't control the emotions that all of it is going to bring up. And also to the point of like, go do a thing. Like, I also just sit with things. I like to sit in it to feel it. And so if it's going to feel bad, I don't want to sit in it.
That's why it's funny though, like certainly for the types of things that you're trying to avoid, it's not great to have sprung on you and not be able to then avoid. It reminds me also though of like the flip side of like, what about the things that you want but you can't access for some reason? That's something we're so used to now being able to do, and the idea that you can't, like, I was trying to look back at my original exchange with Ryan on the apps, and it has been deleted because it's been too long. And I was like, no, that's so sad. I wish I could see it. But if it were a real conversation, I would not have anything to mourn. But now it's like a ghost of past that is past.
Yes.
I was doing this week. There was like a all agency email that my wife had sent, but I had seen like someone sent it to me. This was before we were dating, but it was just like so memorable because it was like hilarious because she was scolding an unknown person in front of everybody and no one knew, but the person would know who they were. And it was like, and I was like, oh man, I need to find this. I like thought of it and I just could not search it out. But there's part of like, you know, Aaron, your point about like sitting in it too is like, I don't know. I saw 2 people like riding my bike this week. I saw Claire Banks, who used to work here, and she was just like walking her dog, and I like pulled up next to her and I was like, oh, Claire, hi. Like, and just like said hello. And she's like, hi. And when we like chatted for like 3 seconds, the light changed. I was riding Emerson to school, but like it is this digital thing that we're like all talking about is like very much connected to the real world, and that like that like turning inward aspect like sometimes like doesn't behoove us.
Yes.
You know, like I don't know what to do with that. And like I'm guilty of it same as everybody else, and like we probably all do it in different like zones or like regions of our life, but like I don't know, I was just like, hey, I know you. Smile, like wave and then just keep going. Like some other, like Jeff Weiner, I saw like riding his bike in the other direction. I was like, all right, Jeff. And then just neither of us stopped riding. We just like rode by each other. And you're like, that person exists. That's all I needed to know.
In the digital space, we spend a lot of time being able to control how we sound, how we're interpreted, and to be able to, and maybe we're not doing it effectively, but we spend a lot more energy crafting that. And the serendipity of running into people, whether physical or digital, disrupts that. We don't, like, you're in the moment on the spot and like go. And in some cases that can be great and healing and delightful and whatnot. And you have a genuine, can we please get together for coffee? I want this longer. And then in other instances, you are diving behind the mannequin and then trying to mimic its pose and then slowly going around it as they're walking so that you know they can't see you as they walk around. And maybe there's nothing different to it. It's just another manifestation of that. And we're all figuring out or existing in doing that.
Just be in it.
Did I inadvertently wrap?
You might have just wrapped her up.
Did I just do that?
Aaron's wrap-up corner.
That's the closing song in Casper when Christina Ricci sees him and Devon Sawa comes out as Devon Sawa. So yeah, there's a theme going on. Can I keep you? Like this is important.
That was me spinning in my chair, dancing like them, spinning through the air.
Yes.
And then kissing.
Yes. Yep. Oh, that was a moment. But I would push Christina Ricci out of the way. I was okay. Anyway, we all had this moment.
Well, we did it.
We did it. Cool.
Nice.
Critical Nonsense is a Sylvain production.
Brought to you by Oda Mae Brown's Clay. Yes, it was used in Ghost. No, it didn't belong to her. And no, we haven't seen the movie in approximately 20 years. Thanks!
And what did it turn into? Did she fire it?
It turned into an unchained melody. Oh, my love. No, no Demi Moore. No Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. Whoopee.
As always, we like to thank our executive producer and Neville brother, Jess Vander.
What did you
I don't
just
know
call me?
much. I can't do it. I can't do my Neville brother impression. I've got one. I'm an Aaron, so of course
I love you.
I love you. Yeah, we did it. That was good. Look up the Neville brothers. We'd also like to thank sound engineer and the other Neville brother, Alex Gontel. Woo.
We'd like to thank programming coordinator and Earth, Wind, and Fire, Les Jacobs.
I couldn't quite nail it. I apologize.
Honestly,
You have something in your throat.
Did nail it actually?
It was close. It was close. We'd also like to thank Sari Gilbert and Nora Mestrich, who something about ghosts. Boom. Did it. Nailed it.
And as always, thanks, Alen. A special thanks to the touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives.
Oh, that was the best one. His was the best one.
A special thanks to my ongoing musical education and you all to being contributing to this. Also, special thanks to the Macy's game. Maybe unknown to other people, but a very enjoyable activity for teeny boppers everywhere to go into a department store and assign your peer group.
Teeny boppers.
Every peer. We were just talking this morning. Teeny bopper, is that actually synonymous with tween? Like, is that the same age group? Because it's not teenager. You can't be like a 19-year-old teeny bopper.
I don't know. If you're my mom and you're locked in 1950s Detroit, I'd say sure.
Actually, it's true.
A young teenager, typically a girl who keenly follows the latest fashion in clothes and pop music.
Huh.
That's the technical definition, but I always felt like it was like a hair pejorative, you know?
Oh, well, I hope not. But anyway,
yeah, just a touch.
So you go in, someone is assigned you, and you are assigned someone to pick out the most outrageous possible combination of clothing items, and then you all at once have to meet back and then trade, and then you must do a fashion show. And it's really fun.
It's much better. Branch and his friends from high school have the game Manwich, and that is in any grocery store you're in. Whoever says Manwich first, then you both have to sprint and find the Manwich first.
Wait.
Like you have to go find it, and whoever gets it first wins.
What is
and you
the
just someone just goes. It's like Spam. It's canned ham.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought what you were about to say.
It is just Spam.
I thought what you were about to say was there is a duel that can be incited wherein anytime someone invokes the right of Nanwich, you can make a sandwich out of any food items you can find, and the other must
be
eat
awesome.
It's not canned ham. It's canned sloppy Joe.
Oh,
yeah, that's true.
Which is, I think, grosser, but I don't know.
I don't know. But additional special thanks just in terms of games. Now, this is a physical board game that I played recently. It's called Lords and Ladies. It is very, very fun. And as problematic as it probably is, it's like you build a family empire and you have servants and you have to build the biggest family and the longest lineage and have the biggest staff. But the thing that makes it fun is that you all speak in the most ridiculous British accents the whole time.
M'lady.
We were pissing so many other people off that were in this space that we were at. Just like just so ridiculous.
Lord Devonshire.
Oh, and you get to name all of them. So we had some very absurd names that I cannot repeat on this PG-13 podcast. But it's really fun to name all of your lords and ladies as they come into your house. It's very fun.
Blunderbuss Cumblebumber.
My name is... That's just Benedict Cumberbatch during a hangover, I think.
Are we getting Benedict or are we getting Blunderbuss Cumblebumber?
Who's going to be coming in this morning?
Maya Rudolph saying, "Oh, Blunderbuss Cumblebumber" as the hormone monster.
Blunderbuss Cumberbunda. Mine's not my Maya Rudolph needs work.
Oh, baby.
Apparently, also me talking needs work. So sorry for the assault that I've given all of your ears. But thank you for.
Oh my god!
Bye.
Oh my god! I can't do it, but I know what you're doing. Okay, bye. Bye.
Love you, mean it, bye.
I can't do her. I'm so bad at her. Oh my god! You guys, I can't. Oh, you guys! Oh, like I can't. It's a very good range in there too.